Immigration drama also playing out at the Supreme Court Tuesday, where justices heard oral arguments regarding the Biden administration's efforts to halt enforcement of the Trump-era policy on immigration that requires asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while their claims are being processed. Let's discuss that and the temporary restraining order blocking President Biden's planned repeal of Title 42 with one of the attorneys general who filed that lawsuit, Arizona AG Mark Brnovich. Good to have you with us, General.
Thank you, Shannon.
Okay, so let's start here on the Supreme Court today on remain in Mexico. People who want to apply for asylum have to wait on that side of the border. That was something the Biden administration got rid of. It's worked its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. NBC News reporting on it today says Supreme Court hints it might let Biden and Trump-era remain in Mexico immigration policy. They say Justice Brett Kavanaugh said the key issue in the case is a provision that allows immigration authorities to release people into the U.S. while their asylum claims are evaluated when that would provide a significant public benefit. Quote, why is that wrong? He asked. So same question to you.
Well, it's wrong because it essentially is incentivizing people to come here illegally. And this federal statute, as Justice Thomas pointed out today in the arguments, there's a presumption that they shall be detained. And so what we argued essentially is that if you're not going to make people have them make those asylum claims in Mexico, then they shall be detained. They have to be detained while those claims are pending. And what the Biden administration has done, not only here, but even with the interim and permanent guidance, is they are essentially allowing millions of people to enter into our country illegally and then just being released into our community. And I argue that that is not only illegal, but is incentivizing people to come here illegally. And that's why we're seeing record numbers of people enter the country illegally.
So let me ask you about this. The Texas Tribune reports on human rights groups who say it's very dangerous to make people go back into Mexico and wait there. They say in New York, this New York-based organization recorded 1,544 cases of killings, rapes, and kidnappings of migrants who were forced to remain in Mexico between the launch of this policy in January 2019 and January 2021, when the Biden administration suspended the policy. So how do you answer those concerns about the threats people will face if they wait on that side of the border versus this one?
It is a terrible tragedy when anyone is being exploited by the cartels. But make no mistake about this, Shannon. The people responsible for this are the Biden administration and the cartels that are profiting off exploiting human beings. And, you know, we start getting blinded to these numbers. But let us not forget, more than 100,000 people last year, just here in the United States, died of opioid and fentanyl-related deaths. We see more crime in our inner cities. We are seeing a huge spike here in Arizona, but throughout the country, of people that are dying as a result of the cartel violence and the drugs that are flowing into our country. So I would say that the Biden administration should be more worried about American taxpayers and protecting the United States than they are what's going on in Central America or Mexico. It's as simple as that. We need to put American taxpayers above people coming from Central America, from countries like Guatemala or Honduras.
So you may have heard Jen Psaki today at the White House briefing where she said, listen, we want to work with people who want to get together with us and do something about the immigration problem. And we've talked about this many times on this show, whether Republicans are running Washington or Democrats are running Washington, we seem to have the same problems. Why is there an inability to get anything done on this issue that, as you said, it ends up with people, real human lives being exploited in the process of the mess at the border?
Shannon, I'm a first-generation American. You know, my parents fled communism. I understand why people want to come to this country, because it's the greatest country in the world because we have a rule of law. And we can't unilaterally let any person, including President Biden or Jen Psaki or anyone else, essentially rewrite our immigration laws and decriminalize and incentivize people coming here illegally. And that's the problem. The very reason why people want to come here is because the rule of law means something, and the Biden administration is essentially gutting that. And the real problem comes back to you have this permanent class in Washington, D.C., and when the Democrats control Congress, it's bad enough, and it's dangerous for Americans. But when you have an incompetent president who has people talking in his earpiece that are far leftists, they essentially want to abolish ICE, and they don't care about the safety of hardworking American taxpayers, and we're seeing the consequences. It is catastrophic when you combine a Democratic Congress with an incompetent liberal president, and Americans are paying the price for that now.
Let me quickly ask you about Title 42. It's supposed to go away in May. It is the pandemic era. Well, it's older than that, but used in the pandemic to turn people away because of concerns about COVID. And there were hundreds of thousands of people, if the last calculation I read is correct, on that. Now, the DHS Secretary Mayorkas has come out with a memo saying we've got a plan to deal with what could happen after Title 42. Axios reports under the new plan, DHS vows to increase resources, including personnel, transportation, medical support, and facilities to support border operations, including an increase over 600 law enforcement personnel and agents from other government agencies to assist U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Says two things to me. They acknowledge it's going to happen, but they do have a plan. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's a plan for failure. It's a plan for systematically, harming American citizens and American taxpayers, because the reality is, whether it's their failure to build the border wall, which we sued them over, whether it's their permanent guidance where they're allowing criminals and people charged with crimes into our communities, whether it's the public charge rule, which I personally argued at the U.S. Supreme Court in February, which provides government benefits to non-citizens, the Biden administration is systematically rewriting on their own our immigration laws. They have, as I said, decriminalized and incentivized people coming here illegally. So they can say whatever they want, or Jen Psaki can try to spin this all she wants. But the reality is that they have created a catastrophe on our southern border. And Arizona is not only paying the price, but taxpayers throughout this country are being affected. Our communities are more dangerous, and there's more drugs flowing into our neighborhoods, which is killing our daughters, sons, nieces, and nephews.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's bipartisan worry growing and counsel to the White House about this. So we'll see what comes in May. In the meantime, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shannon.